So obviously, I'm the first for a long time to approach these. My industry, even though my business name is Garde Spa Salon, we are kind of a hybrid or a blend, a combination of what you might call personal service, being the beautician, or preferred terminology would be cosmetologist. And we also do other services that are on the professional side, which is where the office zone is. So in my understanding of looking at the zoning and the definitions of personal and professional services, we kind of fit both areas, or you might say we don't fit in any area, because I am basically a day spa or a medi spa. And currently there's not really a defined label, and it's, you know, I'm here to help you understand a little bit about what the balance or what the blend of business division is. In a professional service area, it does list medical, and we do have medical. We have a physician that works in our facility. He comes in and does what you might have heard of Botox parties. He also does other treatments and services. In the new location, we were designing a space just for him to continue and add additional services like peels, his laser, and things like that. In the additional part of that on the medical side, we have massage therapists. Those are regulated by the health board and by the medical board, and so they fit comfortably in the medical side as well. Estheticians are a term, then don't feel bad if you've never heard of that, and a lot of people haven't. It's a skincare specialist. They are a division of cosmetologists. However, you will find almost every cosmetologist in the town, and estheticians in particular, are now working for doctors. They are doing the preliminary work prior to procedures that they do. They also do follow-up. They can handle machines like laser, microdermabrasion, so they are really kind of a bridge between our industries as a profession. One of the other unique things I noticed, and it confused me at first, but I can see where it confused, you know, businesses have changed. The licensure and regulation, we do have a license. Every person that I'm hired that I've mentioned, whether it be a cosmetologist, nail tech, esthetician, massage therapist, and even we have a personal permanent cosmetic specialists. They are also regulated by the health board. They do a lot of treatments for us, or she does. So in the combination of professional and personal services, as you would find in your definitions, we are a combination. We also are regulated, the cosmetology and other professions are regulated by the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance. For instance, real estate brokers, insurance brokers, engineers, accounting, they're all regulated by the same board that regulates me, or not the board, but the division, the authority here in Tennessee. We pay a fee, we are licensed by them, and we post it on the wall. So again, in my mind, I can see where there may be some confusion, and I wanted to help because the hybrid business I've been mentioning, the medi spa or day spa, is a new one. It was not around in when the year, 1979 and 80, when some of the regulations for Farragut were put in place. And so just recently I learned that one of the ways that I could update that was to prepare a text amendment, which I did, to add the medi spa or medical spa to the professional service side to more clearly indicate that how comfortably my type of business does fit in the professional side, which is in the office zone. The main reason I'm here tonight is in hopes that you will kind of see what happened to me. Obviously, I'm currently renting, and I own and pay a mortgage. I'm paying insurance on both locations and so forth. So it's incredibly important that I present to you my information in hopes that you would ask questions and share this as a concern that if it's not accurate, that it is a hardship for us right now. And in understanding the process, the text amendment, I do understand next week I will be here again presenting to the Planning Commission to share information and answer any other questions, and then proceed, if I must, through the process of votes and so forth, which looks like it's going to be a long time. So my hope tonight was to present to you the information and be open to questions such that you might find that I'm not illegal, but I'm extra legal. There's not a regulation that really clearly defines my business, and therefore it could go either way, and I'm hoping that you'll see that the combination, the day spa, medi spa, of what I am is clearly comfortably sitting in an office space under a professional service category.
Thanks. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, what immediately comes to mind is if they have these two sections, and I know that the Myers brothers, who are the developers of Renaissance, should understand the difference. And I'm just curious why they sold you a business in a section of their development that isn't clearly zoned for that.
Well, I would hate to speak directly for them, but I will say that I asked the same question, and you know, I've known Nick Myers for quite some time, and he knows exactly what I do under the office. I also would say that I too agree that we are professional services, so I believe that once that was looked at, you know, looking at what I do and noticing it says, oh, a business with professional service provider would be in that office zone, then it made there was no question that it felt like it would fit.
So Nick and Nick, basically understanding your business, understood that it would go in this category, in this section, and there shouldn't be any problem. And then suddenly you were in the process of upfitting your space, and you were bushwhacked from behind, surprise attack.
Yeah, it was a shock, I'll admit.
Yeah. So so I understand time is money, and you're between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that, you know, the office zone, professional services. I'm familiar with some zoning. I'm not an expert. I'm becoming one after reading and taking the time to familiarize myself with them. But the professional services, it does state, you know, a listing, but it doesn't. It's not exclusive of certain other businesses. And I do kind of think, you know, from my perspective, that obviously the blend of services we provide and treatments we fit under the medical, and I didn't question the location. From any good business person, you look at the location. We are a destination. We don't require frontage like a Supercuts or, you know, that kind of business, and therefore about 250 feet away from me in that same shopping center is another spa. So I never once questioned myself that it was a bad choice or it would have problems at all from that location, because I feel it's a great location. And the size, everything about it was an investment that I was willing to take at the time.
And the other spa is in the commercial side? Or
That's correct. It's right across
side.
the drive. It's just a driveway away. And so it certainly does. It's not obvious that there would be any problem for my business to situate in there, whether it be the zone or just the specific location as far as being practical.
Okay.
Well, I, for one, don't think it would be so onerous to allow such a thing in an office zone. You go all over the country and you see all kinds of things in big office buildings, restaurants, barbershops, whatever, and I don't see the big deal. Now, obviously, we have to deal with the language of the ordinance, and that's a process, and it takes time.
Now, I see Ms. Hawk standing behind you, ready to address us. I have a question for her. Does the ordinance specifically, Ms. Hawk, does the ordinance specifically address the type of business, or under what basis have y'all ordered a stop to her work?
Actually, it defines personal services, and it gives it parameters, and then it gives such as, and one of them is, as she said, beautician. How this came about is, you know, it's kind of like playing telephone on the string. When Elliot reviewed the plan, saw the use, checked the zoning ordinance, he contacted her designer, who in turn, I don't know how many people it went through before it got to Noah Myers. I think he was about the fourth or fifth person. So Noah called me and he said, I read the ordinance. It is clearly not allowed. He says, I don't want, is it personal or professional service? I just got done writing the Planning Commission back up upstairs, and so now I've got both definitions swimming around in my head. We definitely don't want personal services allowed in the office district. He says, I will talk to them and figure out what's the best way to do it. I then talked to Stacy myself and explained the process and everything, and I think she came up with the perfect solution was to add medical spas to that. And then one of the comments I put in the Planning Commission backup is the Planning Commission, after she makes her presentation to the Planning Commission, may want to specifically define what a medical spa is, because part of the differences between a professional service and a personal service is the quick turnaround in which you have a customer. For example, I don't know if there's anybody here that's ever been to a dentist office or a doctor's office that got out really quick. Generally speaking, you have a lower turnaround, therefore it affects trip generation. Office zones are considered transitional uses between higher intensity and lower intensity uses oftentimes. And so she's going through the right process. It's going to be reviewed by the Planning Commission. I agree with the mayor in the particular thing that she's talking about. I learned a lot while she was talking about it. I was writing notes back there. You may have seen me writing back there. I was writing notes. With what she's talking about, that I think that's a good, that's a good fit. I don't think anybody's going to really have a problem with it. It's just the process that we have to go through to have it as an allowed use.
So are you saying that we do have to amend the ordinance?
Yes, the ordinance does have to be amended.
And you referred to it as a medical what?
She called it a medical spa, so I'm using her terminology.
Okay.
Obviously, the terminology or name is a marketing term that a lot of businesses use. Day spa, medical spa, med-spa, med spa, spa salon, spa-lawn. I mean, all of those are marketing terms that businesses choose to hope to attract customers to their businesses. But when you get down to it, you look at the professionals that are hired and brought in to create the services. And we have a massive crossover in the day spa, medical spa area, much different than a traditional salon. We're not funky. We don't do purple hair. We definitely have a focus of more serious clinical, talk about turnover. We have clients that come in and they don't leave for 2.5, 3 hours, and they do love us. That's not the reason they stay, but they are there because the services are that in depth, whether it be, from whatever professional that they're seeing at the time. I tried to look at all of the reasons that why we zone. We zone because, and I'm a neighbor. I don't want a loud business. I don't want one that has lights going on. I don't want high traffic. And there's certain things that I, too, as a resident, don't want. And we don't do anything that I feel is different than many of the other businesses that are listed in the professional category. There was something else that you mentioned that I was going to touch on. I've forgotten. But at any rate, she's bringing up the good point, and I do appreciate protocol. Otherwise, if we don't have order, we have chaos. And so I do appreciate protocol. That's why I appreciated when someone explained to me the process of making change. My concern, of course, is that the change in the protocol flows through quite a few months to get to the end result. So looking at it from my perspective, of course, I have the most to gain. But the fact that we may have equal balance between the two sides